So once upon a time, I started a video saying GTA 4 is the best game of all time or is my favorite game of all time. Well, there's an update now to that list. There's an update, huge update. I always said that GTA 4 was my favorite, and then Fallout New Vegas was close second or like tied right behind it. Oblivion for me always sat at like number 6 or 7 or something like that for me. Oblivion's a very sentimental game. It's my first RPG. It was the first PS3 game that I had played as well. It was like the first time I saw a PS3 game being played, or a, 7th gen console game being played. So it was a really big deal to me at the time, and it was one of the first games that I bought when I got a PS3 back in 2009. It was Oblivion, Infamous, and Batman Arkham Asylum. And I think also like Uncharted and Modern Warfare 2. So Oblivion's a big deal to me. It's kind of the first RPG that I played, unless you count like JRPGs like Pokemon and I think Kingdom Hearts I had played before, and maybe a little bit of Final Fantasy stuff I had seen, but I don't know if I played any of that actually until later. Uh, so Oblivion always sat at number 6 for me, just because Oblivion, as much as I loved it, had some serious problems. Oblivion's a very flawed game. Very, very deeply flawed game. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I'm going to get into some of those reasons in this review because I'm going to talk about this remake and how this remake really fixes this entire game for me in such a way that it is undeniable for me now. I can't ignore Oblivion and what it means to me. And Oblivion, I'll just come out and say it, this game is now my number one game. This is the GOAT. Oblivion is the GOAT to me now. It's the greatest of all time. It surpasses Fallout New Vegas and GTA 4 for me. Now, I know that they're different, very, very different things. New Vegas still is the best written story. I'm not saying Oblivion is the gospel here or anything. Like, it's not. I'm not saying Oblivion is the best story ever made or anything. Though Elder Scrolls lore is very deep. Very, very deep. And I'm actually going to link I'm actually going to make a recommendation. I'm going to put a link in the description. I highly recommend a channel. And I'm actually going to put the channel, or I'm gonna say I recommend a channel in the title of this video as well. I recommend it's a channel called Memospore, and their podcast is called Selective's Elder Scrolls Lorecast, and their podcast is the greatest Elder Scrolls lore podcast in existence. I highly recommend anything that they have on the Knights of the Nine specifically, and Pelennor Whitestrake and all that. The fact that Knights of the Nine, a DLC for Oblivion, explains where all the Ayleid ruins came from and explains like what happened and gives the context of all of that, of like just like the actual like elven genocide that was committed by the humans in the uprising, led by Saint Alessia, who Pelennor Whitestrake was this white-haired paladin hero, but like a hero in legend, but like actually a genocidal monster that is at times what he's doing, killing these elves, like killing children and killing all these innocents. They're described literally in the Song of Pelennor books as pogroms that he's committing against elves. Like all of the bloodshed that went into the world of Cyrodiil to create the world that we are in now in the game. It's really fascinating stuff, and like that's just a DLC in Oblivion. That's just one quest in Oblivion. Just one quest. And there's so many amazing quests in this game. So many amazing quests. Like, this game, it's like, when I think of the greatest side quests in RPG history, I think of Oblivion, Baldur's Gate 2, and Mass Effect 2. Maybe Fallout New Vegas as well. I would say New Vegas makes sense, for sure. But so much of what makes New Vegas great is the factions, which is kind of part of the main quest. But yeah, like New Vegas, Oblivion, Mass Effect 2, Baldur's Gate 2. That, to me, that's like, I was going to say the Holy Trinity, but it's 4 games, not 3. So it's like the quadrology. It's or the tetra, whatever. It's really like the best examples of side quests in role-playing game history. Oblivion is amazing with that. Many of the side quests don't have choices, though, so that is a bit of a flaw. A lot of them are more linear, but there's nothing wrong with that. That has its place. Not all games have to be Fallout New Vegas. Not all games have to be Mass Effect 2. Some games, need to be Icewind Dale. There's a place for linear campaigns, like in D&D history, like you go back to, Temple of Elemental Evil and things like that. Like there are different D&D campaigns that have existed. And some of them are more linear and some of them are more open. It depends on the dungeon master and what they're doing. Oblivion is a more linear experience. No one's denying that. However, it is one of the best linear experiences that you can get in a role-playing game, and I will swear by that. So I want to go through some of what makes this remake so good, because that's me just talking about Oblivion, just kind of riffing off of Oblivion. That's just me talking, by the way, about one quest line with Knights of the Nine, and recommending some of the lore podcasts surrounding Oblivion. Like I also recommend, by the way, the Oblivion or the lore cast about Mankar Cameron as well. All the Mankar Cameron stuff is fascinating. It's just as fascinating as the stuff with Vivek in Morrowind. It's maybe not quite as fascinating, but close. It's all great stuff. So, Oblivion's side quests are amazing. Like, obviously, the one where you go into the painting. There's the factions. The Mages Guild, I haven't even talked about that. Like, the Dark Brotherhood is iconic, classic. The main quest, I think, is great, too. Everything is great about Oblivion in the quest department, really. There's really not even any bad side quest that I can think of in Oblivion. Like, even the bad one there's even a bad one that I kind of like, I guess, like the one where you're fishing, quote unquote, where you have to kill the slaughterfish. That quest is so annoying, but it's annoying on purpose. Like, it's kind of meant to be shitty. It's meant to be a pain in the ass. That's the whole point of it. And I like that, you have to cast like one thing that makes it more useful or more easy is to cast like a spell of detect life to be able to see them underwater, because it's so hard to see them. I like that. I like when like it's good to use magic, like, or to incorporate like an enchantment or something into a quest to make it easier. It just further enhances the sort of role playing and the spirit of role playing in it. So yeah, Oblivion, it really is the GOAT for me now. It really is the greatest for me. And like, part of the reason why as well is I was thinking about it, and like Oblivion has this spirit to it that, like, I would define it as like, this is why I game. Oblivion is why I play video games. Through and through. Start to finish. Oblivion is everything. Oblivion is like what Ocarina of Time represents to people. It's this spirit of adventure. It's an adventure. Like, this game is a freaking adventure, dude. And it's a dark one, too. Like, I'm not saying the game is all sunshine and, whatever. This isn't, Mario Brothers here. Like, it is serious. Like, when you're going to hell or in Oblivion, like, it's very dark, very Slayer album, right? Like, it's very gothic and cool. Shivering Isles is also phenomenal and dark and gothic, and Alice in Wonderland, twisted, fucked up. And that's all awesome, too. But, like, Oblivion is an adventure. And when I think about Fallout New Vegas, and when I think about GTA 4 being my favorite games, they are so goddamn miserable as games. Like, as stories, like, they're so sad and fucked and dark. And that's interesting. That's compelling. But is that the spirit of gaming to me? Like, no. Like, to me, I play video games for escapism. I play it for enjoyment. I love role-playing. I love fantasy. I love D&D. I love that. I live for it. So, Oblivion, to me, is the essence of gaming. Of role-playing gaming and just everything. So, finally, with that out of the way, with my gushing of Oblivion, even in its original form, ignoring this remake, it's time to talk about this remake, because holy shit. Okay, so I've got a list. I've got 3 pieces of paper here that I printed out, where I wrote some notes. So, the visuals, right? I think the game looks beautiful, but there are some problems, and I am going to criticize this remake a little bit. The visuals, to some people, they're a little bit washed out. People are saying that there's a bit of a color problem, that they miss the vibrancy and the bloom of the original Oblivion, and there was kind of a look that the original Oblivion had. I love Oblivion, but respectfully, I disagree. Oblivion was too colorful, actually, looking back, I think. I don't know if it was the right look. I think this hits a really good balance. And I'm going to use a few examples. I think the way Oblivion itself looks and the way the sky changes color when you're at the gates is way better here. The skybox in general is way better here. The skybox in the original Oblivion looked horrible. In fact, the skybox looks better in the Game Informer preview than in the actual game. The skybox in the Game Informer preview, if you look it up for Oblivion, looks really good. And then in the actual game, it looks like trash. This game now, the skybox looks fantastic. You know, it's not like GTA 5 levels of good, because I think GTA 5 has like an amazing skybox for whatever reason, and Red Dead. I don't know what it is about Rockstar and Sky, but they're very good at that. Put a lot of money and time into that. And I don't know if it's that good, but it's really good, especially at night. I will say, like, you know, when it's sunset, maybe it's a little bit too overpowering, like the orange is a little too much. I could see how that's a bit of a complaint for some people. But I think in broad daylight, like, I think the colors look good. I mean, look at how desaturated Skyrim was. Skyrim, like the original Skyrim, by the way, before the special edition. People forget about this because everyone knows the special edition now. Go back and look at the original Skyrim. Holy crap. It's Fallout 3. Like, it's really washed out. Insanely washed out. So this is definitely better looking than Skyrim in that way, the original Skyrim, and special edition as well. Much more colorful than that. I think that the sunset has some issues, but I do like how the sunset looks overall. Like, I don't have a problem with it. But I think one thing that is going understated here is the sunrise. The sunrise in this Oblivion remake looks fantastic. I love it. I live for it. It's... What it looks like is, for anyone out there that's played, you know, World of Warcraft, it looks like Ashenvale or Darnassus, like the Night Elf starting zone in World of Warcraft. When it's like 5:30 in the morning in Oblivion, everything looks really purple. And especially when you're like in the Clovian countryside where there's, grapes being grown or whatever, like, you know, out in the Skingrad country and out in the woods out there, and the fog is coming in, and it's all purple in the morning, and it looks like Ashenvale, and it looks fantastic. I love it. I love it, man. Like, it totally looks like World of Warcraft Blizzard, and I think it's awesome. So, like, I really have no problem with the visuals, and the lighting looks fantastic, and the interiors look fantastic. There are some Unreal Engine slop issues. Like, there's, like, outlines that are kind of weird, where there's a little bit of a red outline. Like, the ambient occlusion is glitchy. I gotta say, ENB mods are way ahead of their time. Like, it's insane how ambient occlusion and ENB mods from back in the day, that, you know, the shader mods that would enhance games, how ahead of their time they were, because they're still being used today. But those old mods had serious glitches with ambient occlusion, specifically inside of interiors. They looked amazing in the exteriors, but in the interiors there were problems. That's still a problem here. So this remake does feel a little bit like a glorified ENB mod for that reason, which I know sounds bad, but it's worth it, and it does look amazing. Like, it looks way better than an ENB mod that you could get for Oblivion. That's for damn sure. And but it does give ENB mod vibes. I will say that. So yeah, that's about what I have to say about the graphics overall. the conversation system, I want to segue into that for a second. So, but before I segue into that, maybe another thing is also with the conversation system that ties in is the voice acting. So, the voice acting in the original Oblivion was a huge criticism, and it's a really big deal to address that complaint here because the original Oblivion had like 6 voice actors. It just didn't have enough voice acting in it, and they were under budget at the time. I mean, the fact that Oblivion was stitched together in the amount of time that it was is pretty incredible. The fact that Oblivion launched in 2006 as an early Xbox 360 game is incredible. Think about how they released Morrowind in 2002, and then for 4 years straight, they were just making a next generation console game. Like, I have to wonder, like, what were they even doing? Like, how were they making Oblivion within that time span? Were they, like, using, like, a fucked up prototype of Morrowind to stitch that together into what became the final engine? Like, I don't even know how they made Oblivion in that time frame, because Oblivion feels like a game where you would need the next-gen tools to work with for a while to create it. I just wonder what Oblivion looked like in 2004 in the early alpha stage, like when it was still in the PS2 days and like their early alpha testing it. I wonder what Oblivion looked like. It's incredible how Oblivion turned out in 2006 considering that. But of course it was so ambitious. Eventually they were forced into voice acting, and I know that some of the Bethesda developers back in the day pushed back against voice acting. I think Ken Rolston was one of them that was like, I don't want the whole game to be voiced. It's going to limit us. And it did, unfortunately. But the voice acting was all the same. It was kind of the same voice actors, so it was very repetitive. There's more voice acting here, which is really nice. Sometimes the voices are a bit hit or miss here. They replaced some of the voices that I don't think should have been replaced. Like one of the knights, like there's like a knight that goes into an Oblivion gate that you have to save in Cheydinhal, and they replaced it with the guy that does Joshua Graham's voice actor, or the guy that does Joshua Graham in Fallout New Vegas. I forget the voice actor's name. They replaced him with that guy, and it was the total wrong casting for that character because the character is meant to be silly and goofy. Like, he's like a knight that's saying, huzzah, and stuff like that. So, like, it's like that was the wrong casting. So, like, some of it is wrongly cast. However, some of it is perfect. Joshua Graham's voice actor is awesome from Fallout New Vegas in this. He's great in some of the roles he's given here. So, the voice acting is a huge improvement. I gotta say, like, it's a massive improvement overall. Some of it is a step down, but it is a massive improvement. By the way, I did see a video essay that was criticizing the voice acting in this, that they had replaced the Oblivion Guard, and it's one of these, again, like deceptive, like almost like propaganda YouTube video essays where it was like, oh, they replaced the Oblivion Guard. It's like, no, they didn't. The Oblivion Guard is still here. The iconic stop, you violated the law guy, he's still here. It's just that they have him plus other voices doing guards. So you just have more now. It's not less, it's more. So I want to get that out of the way. That's a huge improvement overall. But there are some steps back, like the drunk, the drunk dark elf guy that's in Cheydinhal that's singing the Cliff Racer song. It's replaced with a different actor, and it doesn't sound right. So like some of it does sound bad, but overall, like 90% of it, huge improvement. Huge improvement. Can't understate that enough. It's a huge deal. So, yeah, the level scaling, it's been tuned to make the game a little bit easier, which is really nice, compared to what it was. There's now, because of the new patch, we have difficulty sliders that are brand new. It's a huge update where now you can affect the damage levels that enemies output now. So, like, how much damage the enemies give versus their health. You can now adjust all of that. So, like, the difficulty sliders aren't busted like they used to be, where, like, you would turn the difficulty up and then you have to deal with damage sponges. It's not like that anymore now. The Oblivion remake, the new patch added damage levels now. So, like, now if you want to play the game and just have enemies that hit like trucks, but you can still hit them like trucks and still level up, that is now possible. And they added an extra difficulty as well in between normal and hard to add more nuance. So like they've really done a great job with that, with the level scaling. So that's a huge thing. That was a huge complaint about Oblivion, was the level scaling back in the day. And that's maybe not completely fixed here, but like pretty much fixed. I mean, if you've got issues with it still, you can affect the sliders now with your damage and all that. So it's great. Um, the performance is also a lot better now with the new patch for me. I was playing on PS5. PS5 was very laggy, and so was the Xbox Series S from what I was seeing, and Series X. They were both very laggy and framey, and a lot of stuttering, and a lot of pop-in. That is hugely improved with the new patch. I think it's patch 3 is the latest. Hugely improved now, and it's awesome now. Like, the game runs like a dream now for me. It's perfect on my PS5. Though my PS5 does get a little hot. I've noticed that. It runs a little hot. But, yeah, it's pretty good. The conversation, to go back to the conversation thing with the voice acting, I was going to bring this up earlier. Conversation system now has the option to change camera angles, so now you don't have to zoom in on people's faces, like in the original Oblivion, which back in the day I modded that out so it didn't zoom in on the face so much. So now you can tweak that however you want. There's FOV sliders now. There's head bob toggle, which is huge, and that's something that Bethesda has never done and like probably never would do. But whoever did this remake, I forget the name of the studio, they've outdone themselves. They've done real like convenience features. The map now lets you zoom in. Like back in the day, like there were all these map mods and UI mods and overhauls for these games because you had to like, back on the PC they crunched this console UI onto the PC, and now the UI is much better, at least on console. You know, like you can zoom in now. Like it's a much improved version of Oblivion's original UI. There are some issues with the UI though. Like it does, like when you're transitioning like items from your inventory into a box or whatever, like that, they kind of fucked that up a little bit. So there are some issues with the UI. So I will give them a negative ding for that. But overall, it's an improvement. The rumble as well. I wanted to say this. On the PS5 controller, it's got, you know, the haptic feedback, like the 3D rumble. And when you're on horseback in the game, it feels like it's galloping, which is super cool. So, like, when you're galloping on a horse and you're playing with a 3D rumble, it feels like it's galloping. I know that that's a bit gimmicky, but I think that's really cool. I was really into that. Other things as well, the audio is so much better here. Like, it's way better. The music now transitions from song to song much better and with more subtlety. Like, it transitions into the next song right as the previous song is ending. So it's like, as the previous song is, like, kind of coming to an end, like, it's already transitioning to the next one, and it's seamless, and it sounds great. Rather than, the abruptness of the original, where the song ends, and then it just stops, and then it's like, all right, play the next MP3 file. Like, it just, now it, like, loads, like, it's all seamless, and it's great. There's echo and reverb now in caves, where you can hear audio bouncing off the cave walls in the distance. You can hear, you know, Oblivion conversations happening in the distance, and the Oblivion conversations in general are improved, by the way. Like, the random, like, meme conversations, like, they've added them now. They've expanded upon them with the new voice acting, so there's more conversations that they've added. So you get more Oblivionness, you know, the Oblivion cringe humor. Like, it's more now, so it's even better. I love it. I love it to death. The weapon sounds are incredible. The sounds when you're out in nature are just way better. Like the sounds of birds chirping and the deer sounds, and especially wolves howling at nighttime. Like, it's way better. Like, it's an audio masterpiece. The Oblivion gates sound incredible now. Like, all the Oblivion sounds, the spell sounds are pretty clean too. I like the spell sounds. I do think some of the spell effects are a little weaker though. I will say that. Like the lightning bolts. I like the lightning bolt effect of the original. I thought it was really soul. I really liked the original. But the lightning bolt effect is a little weaker here. I wish they would maybe clean that up in the patch. But the ice spells, those are like way better now. Like the ice spells, like it actually looks like you're shooting a crystal, like an ice crystal that's like stabbing them. So like the ice crystal looks way better. Whereas in original Oblivion, it was like a weird ice, like it was like you were shooting fog at them. It didn't look right. Now it looks like a real ice crystal, like in Skyrim. So it looks sick. And then also the fire spells look better too. So like all that looks good. The animations as well, when you cast the spell, it looks the same as the original, but it's just cleaned up. So like, you know, the spell effect where it's almost like, I think Kamehameha, but like you're like holding the Kamehameha with one left hand of the fireball, and then you use the right hand and then point outward, like you're waving your hand or whatever, and then you shoot the fireball. Like I really like that spell effect with the with how they animate that. Like, and it was like that in the original, and here it's just cleaned up. It just looks even better. So like it's very authentic to the original animation sets as well, and making them look cleaner and crisper. So yeah, it's awesome. Man, and that's about it, man, with the visuals and the audio and all of that stuff and the animations. So now we're going to move on to gameplay, because that's the thing that actually matters. This is a much, much better role-playing game than the original. They could have dumbed this game down. They could have simplified it. They could have made it like Skyrim. And I actually saw, I think, not to throw shade at Mr. Matty Plays, because he gets enough shade as it is. I actually like Mr. Matty Plays, but, and I watched some of Colin Moriarty's stuff, and he's on his network, and I watched some of that, so I like Mr. Matty Plays, but I remember he said, like, with the Oblivion remake, like, they could have done more. They could have overhauled it like Skyrim's leveling system, and I'm like, no. Do not dumb it down. Do not make it less of an RPG. Do not make it more modern with a Witcher-style leveling system, or a Dragon Age Inquisition-style leveling system, or an Assassin's Creed Odyssey-style leveling system. Please, for the love of God, no. Make a role-playing game that is designed like 3rd edition D&D, for fuck's sake. So that's what they did here. They designed it as it was, but they made it better. They made it so much better. So the beginning, so let's just start with the beginning here. So when you make a new character now, when you make a brand new character, you see the awesome new cutscene. It looks sick. It's an awesome version of Uriel Septim. I love how they improved his model. I also love how they improved Martin's model. Like, his model looks better. Joffrey's model looks better. Everybody looks better. Chancellor Okado even looks better. Mankar Cameron looks better. Everybody looks better. The beginning, when you make a character, after you see that intro cutscene, you now have origin stories for your character. So you can designate where your character is from. From High Rock, from Skyrim, from Cyrodiil. When you choose your origin, when you choose your race, you get to choose an origin. So, and that affects your stats. This is like Dragon Age Origins or something like that, but it's not, you know, there's no reactive story, backstory stuff there, so that does suck. But, you know, there's only so much they can do with that. They can't add all new dialogue with all that. Like, it would be cool with the new voice actors if they could really go the extra mile with that, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a really cool, awesome idea, you know, and it makes the role-playing even better. So now you actually have that as an option. Before, I think what they actually had was, they had gender differences where, like, if you were playing a male or female character in Oblivion, it would affect your stats, actually. So if you were playing a female character, you had lower strength, and if you were playing a male character, you had higher strength, which is kind of interesting, and I guess in the modern times, that would be a little bit out of date. So they shifted that into, well, let's just have you select your origin, and then that affects your stats. So that was a better change overall, because it increases the role-playing. It gives you more options. It gives you more roleplay value. So I really like that. And speaking of the gender thing, of course, there's gender versus body type 1, body type 2 thing. I've seen some people, you know, culture warrior type people say, like, I'm not buying the game, I'm not playing the game now because of that. And if you love Oblivion and you're not playing it because of that, that's, I think, unfortunate, because you are getting a much improved version of the game here. And that's not really, I don't think, the fault of anybody that's working on this game. It's cultural. There's really nothing you can do about that. It's just the way it is. That's kind of how things are. Like, if you're bothered by that, if you're bothered by gender and body type stuff, like, If you want that gone from your mainstream AAA games, like you're gonna have to probably wait. I don't know, maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or maybe not even in your lifetime. I don't know. Like, who knows? Like, it's just a cultural thing. Like, at some point, maybe that'll change. Maybe there will be gender options and body type options, or, or we'll just go back to gender, and I don't know. Like, it's whatever. It's again, it's something that the clickbaity side of YouTube is going to complain about, but it's really nothing. It shouldn't stop anybody from playing this. It really shouldn't, especially at $60. This game was a steal. At $60, they didn't even charge full price for this thing. Or no, it was 50. I'm sorry, it's $50. So it's 50. It's not even 60. And games nowadays are 70, and Microsoft is trying to, and Nintendo are trying to price hike to 80. For God's sake, like, no, this game is awesome for what it is. So yeah, that's one big role playing element right there. When you level up now, you get to distribute your points like 3rd edition D&D. So games like Neverwinter Nights, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, Knights of the Old, Neverwinter Nights 2 as well, and Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 even. Like the old system of like distributing points, that's how it is here now. So like you distribute the attributes directly. You don't have to level up the skill and worry about like, oh god, when am I going to next level up? Oh god, I leveled up. Like when you level up in Oblivion, like in the original Oblivion, when you level up, it's not an exciting thing. It's a state of panic because it's like, ah shit, I got to train my other abilities so I get the better strength boost. It sucked. The original Oblivion leveling system, as much as I loved the original game, it just sucked. It's horrible, horribly thought out. It was kind of a transition from Morrowind, or as a holdover from Morrowind, because Morrowind had that same leveling system. But Morrowind's actually worked because it didn't have the scaling. Oblivion's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. So now it's fixed, and you just distribute your points like a normal role-playing game, like a normal 3rd edition role-playing, D&D role-playing game, or like Pathfinder or something. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. So that's a huge, huge, huge improvement. And like a huge game changer for me. And I love the original game still, despite that. But damn, dude, like it was broken. So now let's move on to stats then. So since we're talking about the leveling system, stats. What changed about the stats here? So strength is about the same as it was before, though it does increase max health a bit now. Though I'm not sure if it did that before. But even if it did, it's kind of a plus either way because it keeps it the way it was. That's how it was in 3rd edition and 2nd edition D&D. When you leveled up your strength, it did also upgrade your health. It didn't just upgrade your damage output on melee. It also gave you a health boost. So that's nice that that's still here. Even if it was in the original, it's just nice that they kept it here. It's true to what an RPG should be. So I appreciated that greatly. Another thing that did change about strength is some of the weapons that it affects. I'll get to that later when we get to agility. Int is the same, so intelligence is the same. It increases your mana or your magicka or whatever. Willpower now increases your stam, fatigue, by a lot. So like willpower now increases your stamina by a lot, giving it a use now for all classes. So willpower now is useful to all classes, all character types, because it increases your stamina or fatigue or whatever by a huge amount. So it's not just useful for mages now, which is also a good time to talk about how they revamped stamina and fatigue, because stamina is much, much better than it was in the original Oblivion. This is the best stamina system in any Elder Scrolls game, really. At least off the top of my head that I can think of. I haven't played ESO, so I can't speak to that. But it reminds me I got to get to ESO. I really have to play it now, I feel like. Because I've got a niche now for more Elder Scrolls. And I know that there's like interesting lore in that. But the fatigue system here, the stamina system, it's better than Skyrim's, it's better than Morrowind's. In Morrowind, you would get your stam drained by running, like just literally running. You had to walk everywhere. That was annoying at a certain point. When you level up, it doesn't really matter anymore once you're a higher level, but at a low level, it's very annoying. Skyrim's stamina system was broken because if you're playing a stealth archer, you didn't really need it. It was only useful for warriors, and if you're playing a stealth archer, you would just upgrade your health, and then you were a tanky stealth archer, which was broken. So stamina is much better than it was in Skyrim, I think. But it's very similar also to Skyrim. So the stamina system, it takes what Skyrim had before, where when your stam is at 0, you can't power attack. It wasn't like that in the original Oblivion. When your stamina was at 0, you could still power attack, but you got a huge damage debuff. So here you actually can't power attack when you're at 0 stam. So one major difference here, though, with Skyrim is that it merged with Oblivion's stagger system. So when you block while your stam is at 0, you stagger. Or there's a good chance that you'll stagger. So like you'll block, right, and then you'll go, ugh, and you'll like recoil. That's how it was in Oblivion, but it was very randomized in Oblivion. It was like total RNG. Now it's affected strongly by your stamina, where if your stamina is at 0, then you'll stagger. But here's a cool mechanic that I really like, that I noticed, that I don't know if everybody's noticed yet. When you stagger, there's a second wind mechanic, where your stamina will come back, like, instantly, if you, like, get staggered. Not instantly, but, like, there's, like, a slight delay, but it'll, like, boost back up, like a second wind. Like, it just kind of knocks your character back up. I think it's an awesome mechanic because it adds a strat to allowing your character to be staggered, and it changes the flow of fights in a great way. So I think that's really cool. So I really like that. And then dodge rolling is better now too. The animation's great. It's very fluid and slick now, especially with the new patch. I feel like the new patch kind of smoothed out a lot of animations too. Weapon switching matters now also in combat. You know, just speaking of combat stuff in general, weapons have different effects now and actually feel different. So like in the original Oblivion, an axe and a sword was like the same. It affected like your reach of how far you could reach, but it was really the same thing. Maybe it affected like DPS a little bit, like damage speed, but that was it. But now it really matters. So like when you use like a sword and you're leveled up with your sword, there's a bleeding effect now, where if you hit a guy with a light attack, it'll cause a bleeding effect with your sword. And with the blunt weapon, if you level that up enough, you get the perk where you silence people. So you silence mages, making axe wielders better against mages. And then also there's now a huge difference now between the light and power attack in this way. Light attacks now have more meaning than they did in the original Oblivion, because now you have like different effects like silencing and bleeding that you can do. But also now a power attack with a weapon, like with a sword, now gives a debuff to the character where they take more damage with the sword after that. So it gives you an extra damage boost. And then with the axe, the power attack gives you a shield, like a shield spell. So then your character is more tanky. So the axe is better. If you're using axe and mace, you're better at facing mages, and you're better at tanking. You're more sturdy. Like Gimli or something like that, right? So that's awesome. And then, you know, the swords are like higher in damage. Also, hand-to-hand damages enemies' stamina on the normal attack, but on the heavy attack with the hand-to-hand combat now, you can knock the weapon out of their hand. So now you have like a real incentive to change weapons, like on the spot. And the hotkey system is way better in this version as well, especially on controller. So you're just like, you're changing weapons way faster and way better. And now it's like, in a Hail Mary attempt, you can switch to hand and then try to knock a weapon out of a guy's hand. And that was an original complaint that I had about this when I first played it, was they changed the weapon, the bladed weapon, where like in the original Oblivion, if you did a sideways power attack where you're moving right or left and you hold down the power attack, you could disarm them, and like you had a chance, like a 15% chance to disarm the enemy's weapon out of their hand. and that was gone in this version. I was like, ah, that's kind of lame to remove that. But then I looked more at the stats and looked more at the skills, and I realized, oh shit, that's now a hand-to-hand ability. So now you have real reason to have weapon variety, which makes the warrior matter a lot more as a class now, because they have all these different skills. They have all these different weapon skills, which previously in Oblivion, it's like you just use, if you're playing a warrior and you're just using the sword, it doesn't really matter. You just pick one. Now you have reasons to diversify with your class. So it's way better. So back to more attribute stuff here, right? Moving on to agility. Agility now affects daggers and short swords instead of strength. So I was going to say about one change with the strength there. So now that is the case now. So agility affects your bow, as it always did, but now it affects daggers and short swords. This is huge. Agility functions more like dexterity now, as it always should have. Dexterity as it was in D&D or KOTOR or whatever. It should have been like this since Morrowind, but now it's fixed. So it's amazing, and like short swords have like their unique animation sets now, where like you can stab with a short sword or with a dagger, like you have like thrusting animations, and I forgot to mention this as well about a combat improvement that they have, is now you can kind of string together combos. Like combos are a real thing now. You can string combos together based on when you activate your power attack with your light attack. So like now Oblivion has like almost like God of War or something like that, where it's like you have like a string of your light attacks where it's like light attack, light attack, light attack, light attack, and then it finishes and there's a delay, and then light attack, light attack, light attack, light attack, and then pause. Like there's like a pause in between it. But now it's like you can light attack, light attack, light attack, power attack, and like there's a flow to it because of the way the animation functions now. It feels more like God of War, for God's sake. Like, I wonder what Elder Scrolls 6 is going to feel like now because of this. Like, I wonder how much this is foreshadowing of Elder Scrolls 6, or how much Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take from this amazing remake and roll into it. Yeah, so, like, that's amazing. And then, to go back to agility, agility now affects your stam regeneration rate. So, willpower affects, like, magicka regeneration rate, while int affects your total magicka. Now, willpower affects your total stamina, and agility affects regeneration rate. So, isn't that cool how that works now? Like, this change was a genius move, because it just makes everything matter more, and it makes the stats kind of sing together. Like, they all matter. They're all intuitive. They all make sense. So that's a great change. Speed is largely the same. There's a sprint button now. That's about it. Endurance is the same, but it affects health regen now out of combat, which is very annoying in the original game, where, like, you have to wait all the time and rest in between battles, especially in Morrowind. I found that really, like, annoying because it was immersion breaking, because it's in every RPG, like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and Neverwinter. Like, every RPG, when you finish combat, you have to, like, sleep. And that's so annoying, because it's like in real combat, like if you're in a war, if you're fighting with a sword, it's not like, oh, I got stabbed a bunch of times, oh, I got to take a nap now. It's like you'd bandage yourself up, or you would shake it off and go, So now it's like that. It's like your character just regenerates based on his endurance stat, and it's awesome. So that's a huge improvement. And it's not overpowered as well. Like, you don't regenerate, like, super, super fast. You regenerate just fast enough. So there is still a use in, like, using the wait mechanic or the rest mechanic if you need to. Personality has a better effect on prices. I don't know if that was there in the original, but that's good. I think luck is about the same. I don't think it's changed much here. I haven't tested it enough, though, to say for sure. It mostly just affected loot, I think. So yeah, that's it for the stats. I mean, so that's all of them. That's strength, willpower, int, agility, speed, endurance, personality, luck. So that's everything with the stats. Huge improvement across the board. Hugely improved. So on to skills now. I mean, I already talked about some of the differences between blunt, blade, and hand to hand. Everything is superior here. Like everything's way better. Like my notes that I wrote here. Like the differences in blunt and blade are real now. Already talked about this. But power attacks for blunt give a defense boost now, making axe wielders more tanky and better mage killers. One thing I also wrote, blunt will also do more damage to skeletons. That was in the original Oblivion as well. Like you're crunching bones under axe or mace, as it should be. Like that's really cool, I think, to this day. I think that's pretty cool and unique. This is the only RPG I can think of that has ever done something like that, where axes and maces affect skeletons more than swords. Like, I think that's really cool. That's still present here. So you got that. Block. The block skill now has the ability to manually shield bash. Whereas before it was a percentage chance, so you had like a 20% chance to like do a shield bash if you leveled it up to 75. There's pros and cons to that as an RPG, because the statistic does make it feel more RPG-ish, where like you score a crit or something, like, oh shit, like I parried him based on my parry stat. Like, so that is a little bit shameful that that's gone, but shield bashing like in Skyrim was pretty satisfying, so I understand why that's there. So that's maybe one sort of like pro and con to that. That depends on personal preference. Armor skill is now much more generous. Your weapons aren't unequipped now when they break. You can still wear broken armor now. So like before, like when your armor was broken, it would just, you couldn't wear it anymore. It would like you couldn't wear it. Now you can wear broken armor. It just gives you a giant debuff, which is really nice. You can also now repair magic items at lower repair level, just level 25, which is really nice. It used to be level 50. You had to be level 50 armorer to be able to repair enchanted weapons. Now that's completely fixed. Like, it's way better now. I can't understate. Misread what I wrote here. I can't understate how much this improves the quality of life in the game. The repair system was just such a bitch in the original game. It's so much better here. So, huge improvement. It was also a little bit annoying in Morrowind as well. Less so than Oblivion, because in Oblivion, your weapons were breaking left and right. It was insane. Skyrim just got rid of it altogether. The athletics skill is still awesome. It's even better here because you can unlock unlimited sprint if you level it up enough. Alchemy has been tuned to be a little bit better. They actually explained that what the alchemy equipment does now and lay out the perks of the different equipment. So Mortar and Pestle is the same this time. Just allows you to brew potions. It's the same. But the side equipment, like the retort here, now increases magnitude and duration of all positive effects of the potion. So it's good for, like, you know, making potions, like health potions and stuff like that. The Alembic decreases the magnitude and duration of negative side effects in the potions. So that's also good for making, you know, brewing health pots and stuff like that. But then the Calcinator, which is the other one, increases the magnitude and duration of all effects, both positive and negative. Thus better to have with you if you're brewing poisons for sneaky characters. So now you have differences with the equipment for the alchemy equipment, which is a genius idea. I love that idea. So that's awesome. Archery feels better overall, way better actually. Archery was fun in the original, but it did feel like shit. Like, it was good shit though. Like it was, there was fun to be had in the jankiness of it and the sort of slow physics of it. But it's still just kind of shit regardless in the original. So it's much, much better here, and I'm very, very glad that they fixed that. Acrobatics now affects fall damage, which is awesome. It also gives you dodge roll earlier at level 25. Previously, you had to be level 50 acrobatics, and the dodge roll is much improved here, as I said before. Lockpicking is a little bit controversial, I think, here. They did make it a little bit harder. But I actually kind of like it, to be honest. I think it was a little bit too easy in the original once you got good at it. So it actually matters to level up lockpicking here. And also a tip to the lockpicking in this, if you are struggling, it's best to like when you knock the pin up on the pick or on the lock when you use the lockpick and you knock the lockpick up against the lock, it'll be like really fast or really slow. And if you get like a slower one where it ticks up slower, you can kind of spam it once it reaches up to the top, and then kind of like spam the lockpick upward, and then you can kind of trigger it easier to click it into place. It's kind of hard to explain. You'd have to see it. But I do think that the lockpicking is a little controversial here, but I don't mind it. And I think making it a little bit harder was actually probably the right move because it was just too easy before. And if you do really hate it, and you can bypass it by getting the skeleton key through the Daedric quest for Nocturnal, and then you can get you can bypass the minigame if you want. Sneak feels better here in every way. It matches Skyrim a lot better now without being quite as broken, I think. Like the indicator for sneak is just kind of better now. The magic system's about the same. The spell effects aren't as nice as the original, like I said. But it's fine overall. And that's it. That covers it. That's my notes. That's my notes. So that's it. Oblivion is the GOAT. This remake is the GOAT. It takes a broken role-playing game that had a lot of soul in it, a lot of heart, and it just fixes it. It just fixes the game. And this is probably the most passionate video that I've ever made as far as like me just being enthusiastic about something. I'm really, really into this remake. And enough said. Greatest game of all time, I think. The reason why I game. Like, this game is the reason why I play video games. It's all here. For better or for worse at times, because, you know, there's a lot of cringe. There's a lot of video gaminess of it, you know, and they kept some of that. Like, they even kept a botched line delivery from one of the actors where they were like, can I do a retake on that? You can look that up for anyone out there that's seen that. So, like, they've kept all of the... They removed all of the cancer of the original Oblivion, but kept the charm, like you know, where people say like warts and all, like they kept some of the charm, they kept some of the bad, they kept the bad that was charming, and they removed the cancerous bad that was just bad. And that's Oblivion. That's the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And if you want to see more story analysis, I highly, highly recommend checking out Memospore's channel and checking out the Elder Scrolls Lorecast for some of the best lore analysis on Elder Scrolls that exists, for anyone out there that doesn't know it exists. Highly recommend checking that out. And also, for the record, I don't know those guys. I've never met them. So this isn't like a friendship thing. This isn't like a, oh, I know them, so I'm recommending them. They're just awesome. They're the best for Elder Scrolls analysis out there. So it's one of the reasons why I've never done an Oblivion analysis video, or a Morrowind analysis video, or a Skyrim one, because no one does it better than them. So I highly, highly recommend checking them out. And with that, I leave you guys with this image, and yeah, that's it. My final message is Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Greatest game of all time, I think, for me. If it's not for you, then I understand. As I laid out, there's a lot of flaws in this game. But, well, I'm just a broken record at this point. But it is the reason why I play video games.